What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I'm Ryan Thomas, your host, bringing you another edition of the Thomas Take. A wonderful week it's been for the TTSP, as I did a episode yesterday. If you guys have not tuned into that, that is on Facebook at the Thomas Take Sports Podcast Facebook page. It is also on YouTube.com. If you search the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, click subscribe, and you'll obviously get all the latest editions of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I wanted to start off today's show a little early, do part one. I got some errands to run, and then I'll be back on the mic around 5 o'clock today, so you can tune in to that as well. Very exciting week it's been. I did the Thomas Take mailbag yesterday, part one and part two. Continue to submit those Thomas Take mailbag questions, because that was fun. I got to interact with you guys, interact with the listeners, take as many questions as I possibly could, and realistically, let you guys be a part of the show. And I really, really enjoy that dynamic of the show. So back to, the content, what really matters. Today's show is one that I'm very excited for. I'm going to be talking about the city of Boston, Massachusetts, a city that I am familiar with, city that I enjoyed being in, enjoyed visiting, enjoyed going to the city of Boston. It's for very obvious reasons. I am a diehard Boston Red Sox fan. It's well known that I'm a diehard Red Sox fan. My grandfather was a big-time Red Sox fan, and my grandfather was a very big influence in my life. Those that know me know that. And for those that don't, know that, he was a real big influence in my childhood, and realistically, the reason why I am a Red Sox fan. And within the last couple weeks, obviously, and I might be a little bit late to the punch when it comes down to this, but as far as the Adam Jones situation, that's the subject matter of the opening of today's show. The Adam Jones situation. Adam Jones, for the record, one of my favorite players in Baltimore. Realistically, a guy that I hold high respect for in the game of baseball. He represents the game the way that players should. He represents the Baltimore Orioles. He's a true leader of that team, even though Manny Machado might be the biggest name. Adam Jones has been a part of the Orioles for quite some time, and he's a five-tool guy, solid player. He's been on my fantasy team the last couple years. I like Adam Jones. And when I saw the reports and stuff about the racism towards him from fans at Fenway Park, I was appalled, first off. Not only was I appalled, but I was very embarrassed at the fact that a city that I kind of associate myself with, being a Red Sox fan in New York, people say, why are you a Red Sox fan? You live in New York. You should be a Yankees fan. You should be a Mets fan. I'm a Red Sox fan because of the fact that my grandfather was a Red Sox fan. And as I said, he was a big influence on my life, on my childhood. And he was somebody that I admired. And when all this took place with the Adam Jones situation, I realistically thought, why? Why would they feel the need in 2017, they meaning the Red Sox fans in Boston at that game, feel the need to show that side, a side of people that I had really hoped was dead and gone, side that I had hoped was finished forever in terms of racism. And there is racism still in this country every day, and on all different sides of the coin, that is really just sickening and unfair. I thought that we were past that at this point, but we are not. We are still seeing, acts of racism towards African Americans, towards Latino, any and all populations, really. There are times where I have had racism pointed my way, where people have made, somewhat racist remarks to me for being white. It's not just white, versus black, or white versus Latino. There are other forms of racism, and it's a very touchy topic to address, but I am somebody that I have friends of all color, whether they're black, Latino. I have friends of all race, and I respect, 1A or one, guy A, guy B, guy C, guy D, regardless of their color. And I've always been that way. I have a lot of African American friends. One of my friends that I've been friends with for quite some time is a big TTSP supporter, is Jordan Seeley. We've been friends for a long time, been friends with him since I was in the first grade. And I've never in my mind remotely thought, anything less of Jordan, being that he is black and being that I am white. And the fact that people still have to go that route was really disturbing. For me, being a Red Sox fan, it was pretty tough for me to actually wear my Red Sox hat this week, being that every time I did, people looked at me funny. And they were like, really? One guy, I was at the outlet mall in the Falls. He said to me, it's been an interesting series between the Orioles and the Red Sox. And I thought to myself, yeah, with the Adam Jones situation, and I even said that, and he didn't even know what had happened. So that was the first instance that I thought, wow, he actually didn't even know what had happened yet. And I wanted to read this article that was written on myfantasysportstalk.com by Patrick Rahal. If I'm mispronouncing his name, Pat, I really apologize, but he went into great detail about Boston. And his opening statement was, there has been a running dialogue on television, talk radio, and the sports corner of the internet recently with one prevailing theme. Boston is a racist town, and unless you're a beloved white athlete, prepare to have a nonstop string of racial epithets thrown your direction. There are quite a few people who have made that claim that Boston is racist, such as Bomani Jones or Michael Chi of Saturday Night Live, who claim that Boston is the most racist city he's ever been to. All of this stems from the incident reported all over the country through various media outlets. Adam Jones of the Baltimore Orioles claiming that he was the victim of racial slurs as well as peanuts hurled in his direction. Jones stated after the game that 60 people were ejected from the stadium that night, while the Red Sox maintain it was 34, and only one was for using foul language. Whether that language was directed at any player, Jones or otherwise, remains unclear. So this game took place May 2nd. I'm a little bit behind on this, and really wanted to talk in great detail about it, which this probably 15 minutes really isn't long enough for this original first part of the show. But I know a lot of people in Boston. I know a lot of people that have went to school in Boston of white, black, Latino ethnicity or descent, you could say. And they have told me bits and pieces of racism in Boston. But just because 60 or 34 knuckleheads decided to use this as a weapon of, verbal assault towards one player does not mean that the entire city itself is racist. I know a lot of people in Boston that are not racist people. And I know a lot of people in Boston that are African American. And they would be the first to say that Boston is the type of city that embraces people. And I think that was evident with the whole Patriots Day, Boston Marathon Massacre, where people were injured, people died. It was a disaster. And that city rallies around itself like none other, much like New York City. So I think this story has become a little bit too much about the city of Boston, where it should be about racism in general. Racism is the problem. It's not the entire city. There's racism in Boston. There's racism in New York City. There's racism in San Francisco. There's, real threats towards the LGBT community in San Francisco, in California, all over the country. That there is real threatening verbal assault towards people of color, people of different gender, same-sex marriage. This is a problem that is not going to go away. And unfortunately, I am here to say that it won't go away because there are so many people out there of the old generation that continue to have this terrible mindset of how they talk to people, how they think that it's okay in their mind, being that they came from that era. Nobody cares what era you grew up in. That era was a messed up time where millions of people went to war to fight against the Jews because they were Jewish. I mean, how ridiculous is that? I remember sitting in history class when I was maybe 12 or 13 in middle school, trying to process the Holocaust and how that was one of the most messed up things that will ever happen in the history of civilization, and thinking that, is this real? Like, did this actually happen? It was so messed up that it's almost not even believable. You don't even want to believe it. And that's kind of how I saw this situation with Adam Jones. So messed up in terms of the fact that you would never expect to hear a story like this in 2017, but they are out there. If you look them up, they're all out there. And I'm a little embarrassed for the city of Boston. I'm embarrassed as a Red Sox fan that there were fans that were Red Sox fans that felt the need to do that to Adam Jones. And on behalf of the Red Sox fans, not like those 60 or 34 knuckleheads, I would like to say live on the air my apology to Adam Jones and to the Baltimore Orioles. Not that this would, this might not be heard by them, obviously, but, just me being a Red Sox fan, I do not think that was right in any sense of the word, by any stretch of the imagination. And I really, really hope that MLB, the Major League Baseball League, chimes in on this issue and really makes it a real priority in the 2017-2018 offseason. I'm Ryan Thomas. Take care. Thank you for tuning in to the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Feel free to submit your Thomas Take mailbag questions on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast Facebook page or the Thomas Take Sports Podcast YouTube page. Take care.